Well, it's quite dark and dreary out where I'm at today, so I thought I would talk about a book that is fitting towards the mood. Well, not really. It just kind of coincidence happened fortune happened to favor what I'm talking about today. Hello, everyone. Britton here, and welcome back to my channel. I'm also known as Samoki Dude, and today I'm going to be covering the second book of the First Law trilogy, and that is Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. Now, I did cover the Blade itself, which I will link that video down below when I upload this video. And I really enjoyed it. I thought, man, this is a really good fantasy book. I'm going to read the second one. So that's what I did. I got this off of Amazon because for some reason I couldn't find it in any other bookstore that I looked for it in. And I ended up getting this, and I ended up reading it, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. Did I like it as much as I did the Blade itself? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll get into that. But this is still a very strong book. But nonetheless, this book has a lot of the stuff that I enjoyed in the Blade itself, which is strong characters, great atmosphere, gritty action sequences. But again, I have to mention that Abercrombie's talent for characterization and character voice comes to shine in Before They Are Hanged. And I thought this was a wonderful book, once again, showing the characters. The plot in this, much like how it is in... It's kind of funny. There is more story that happens in this book, but the plot is still relatively light. Like, there's not much of a story. It's more about character and the relationships between the characters as they go on this journey. Alrighty. There's several stories that happen in this. Glocta goes to Styria to go figure out who was the traitor, who is a traitor in a situation during a siege, considering that Glocta was a former soldier before he became the torturer cripple that we all know and love. He proves to be quite capable at that job. We also see the journey that the other characters went on in the first book, which is Baez is trying to find the secret to the First Law. So, for reasons. He wants to stop the guy who's in Styria. It's a long story. Read the Blade itself to get the full context. So, he also has Logan Nine Fingers, also known as Bloody Nine. He also has Giselle, who's this kind of punk asshole who, you know, he's kind of a twit. But, you know. We also have Pharaoh, who's just this bananas lady who just wants to murder everybody. We also get some kick from Logan's friends in the north, trying to help out the Union, which is what they call the country in this. Very imaginatively named England. Anyway. But again, the characters in this are really what make this book shine. And it really keeps this book fascinating, and it keeps me invested in what's going on. Because again, the plot isn't really that complicated to follow. A lot of it is just the characters walking around. I have to say, though, my favorite bit of the book was with Glocta, because, you know, it's probably my favorite character in this. I don't know, he's kind of everybody's favorite character, but I do love Glocta. He's a great character. He's probably my favorite. We also see a lot of growth in some of the previous characters in the story, such as Colum West, who is basically Giselle's friend and mentor of sorts. He's a lower-class guy. He's in the military. He's a very experienced guy. He was a friend of Glocta's at one point. He's kind of re-sparked that friendship in the last book. Spoilers, kind of. I should probably put a minor spoilers on this. Anyway. But we get some change. We get to see Colum West go from mild-mannered soldier into a much more brutal and ruthless character as the story moves along. I was like, you know, and West is probably the most honorable and scrupulous of everybody in this series, because everyone in this series is super duper flawed, and Colum West is probably like the best, or maybe not the best, but he's like the most decent guy of the book, and even he has his problems. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but he gets into a situation that really forces him to become more of a savage, and he ends up linking up with Logan's friends from the previous book, led by the Dog Man. He's a great character. You also see some character growth in Giselle, who is probably the most apparent change. We did see some growth in him in the previous book, but in this book, we get to see him grow some more. I especially really enjoy the relationship that he ends up forming with Logan Ninefingers. I mean, Logan is a fan favorite, and he is one of my favorite characters because he's very much not who you would expect from this type of character. He's very much a Conan the Barbarian, you know, gigantic mirth and gigantic melancholies. It's from the first, you know, Conan story. Hither come the Bloody Nine. Sorry, that's a Conan reference. But, I really enjoyed the friendship that Giselle and Logan form over the course of the book. I think it's a really interesting. They're the quintessential odd couple, you know. The one guy is kind of more fancy and gets around. The other guy is just a brute. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great stuff, and Giselle even learns some wisdom from Logan Ninefingers because Logan has lived a very long, very violent life, and you know, there's a great passage in the Blade itself about that. But again, I don't want to get too much into the Blade itself. That's another review I did. We even see some character growth in Pharaoh, who is probably my least favorite character in the series so far. She's basically this chick who wants to murder everybody. She hates everybody. She had this traumatic past, so it makes sense, but it is kind of weak, I'll admit. There's some people who might assassinate me. I don't know, but I'll admit Pharaoh's character is kind of weak, but in this, she gets some more dimensions. I was kind of like rolling my eyes at some of her lines at first, but, you know, Logan Ninefingers ends up working his magic with her, and they end up becoming friends, and it's actually a really interesting relationship. These two just absolutely insane individuals. They get together, they become friends. It's really fascinating. Again, we also see some more from Baez, and we get to know a little bit more about his backstory. Not too much, though. He's still quite mysterious, but he is clearly, he's kind of the Gandalf, except he's more crotchety Gandalf. I heard they do kind of play with that trope a little bit in some of the other books, but, you know, I'll get to that. Now, but back to what I was saying about Pharaoh. Pharaoh probably, aside from Giselle, goes from maybe not the most apparent change, but she does change a little bit. She does become a little more trusting of others. Mainly Logan Ninefingers. I mean, the dialogue in this is great as always. I mean, Joe Abercrombie has a gift for character voice, and you know, you can tell it's a good writer when you can tell every character is a different when every character feels like a different person. It doesn't feel too much like just similar people talking about their lives or whatnot. I don't know. The action in this is also fantastic as well. I mean, Joe Abercrombie, I've compared him to Robert E. Howard. The man can write an action sequence like few others can. And he is genuinely fantastic when it comes to, writing action scenes. This is a lot more military focused, so there is a battle scene in this, and as a guy who really likes battle scenes, it's actually really well done. I'll admit it was a little confusing, but I like it is flawed in that it is a little confusing on what's going on, but Abercrombie really cleverly plays with that and shows you that war sucks. It's chaotic. It's utterly insane. There's a bunch of stuff going on. You have no idea what to do. It is not a refined thing like some movies might tell you. It is brutal. It is nasty. It is chaotic. There's just a bunch of crazy stuff going on. We get some more character depth with the Dog Man, who is one of Logan's friends. He's a Northman. I think it's hilarious that Logan thinks his friends are dead, and Dogman and his friends think that Logan's dead. But, you know, that's just that's not a spoiler. It's like from the first book, like first couple pages, they think they're dead. But, yeah. But yeah, back to the battle scene. It's really good. It is a little confusing, but Joe Abercrombie manages to play with that a little bit and show you that, yeah, war's a pretty chaotic thing. And it also shows the cost of violence. It shows you the just mental toll that war takes on people and how you become more brutal and more jaded as war moves along, that you kind of begin to strip away from your more civil life. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be in a war, but I can imagine that it kind of, you become more hardened towards it, and Joe Abercrombie deals with that very well. In particular, what I thought was interesting about Before They Are Hanged, they kind of, they don't do away with the disillusionment theme, but they do kind of supplant it a little bit with the theme of the price of kindness. Especially with Glokta. I mean, Glokta, the poor bastard, he really is trying to kind of do the right thing. He's sort of that character. He thinks he's too far gone from where he's been to, he's too far gone, he thinks. But at the same time, like, he wants to be a better person. But this world of the First Law freaking sucks. Like, you do not want to live in this world. It is an awful place to live in. I do not recommend it. It's like I live there. But the world in this, it freaking sucks. Like, it fucking sucks. And I'm not, and kindness is not rewarded. It is often punished. And Glokta often learns that the hard way. But at the same time, there's also the theme of redemption, particularly with Glokta again, and Logan, who, this was a theme that was dealt with him in the first book as well. Clearly, Logan is not proud of the fact that he's probably the most feared warrior in the North. He has done a lot of really questionable, brutal things to many people, and you can tell he's not proud of it, but it's almost a subversion of the redemption story, that he doesn't really know how to change, because he's constantly thrown back into the fold. And he doesn't really want to be a violent killer, but at the same time, he feels like there's no other thing he can be. And it's really sad. And it's the same thing with Glokta. He's also someone who wants to change deep down, but he doesn't really know if he can. He doesn't know. He fears maybe he's too far gone to the point where he can, he fears he might be too jaded to change, and it's a really sad thing to see. I mean, it's just, a lot of stuff is dealt with in this, and there's a lot of heavy stuff in this book, especially with Glokta. Like I said, the Glokta bits were probably my favorite. We meet some new characters in the play in Styria, where it's getting besieged. I love I love how he evokes atmosphere. You can feel the sweat and the grit coming off the page. I mean, it's absolutely impressive how he does that. And again, Glokta's always bitching about the stairs, and of course he's not a fan of being back to the place where he was brutally tortured and almost killed. He probably would have, to be fair to Glokta, he probably would have preferred it if he died. But yeah. So, yeah, that was Before They Were Hanged. Sorry if this sounds a little jumbly. There's a lot of stuff I want to get out, there's a lot to talk about in this, even though the plot in this story is very light for the most part. But yeah, this is my review of Before They Are Hanged. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can go check out my Twitter, which is more unfiltered thoughts from me. You can go to my Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I write reviews. They probably are more coherent than the one you just heard right now. And go check out my Discord, please. I need some more people on there. We need to get a community going. I mean, come on, guys. It's not that hard. There's 113 of you guys. Come on. I know you can do it. Anyway, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been Britton. Hope you guys enjoyed, I just said that. I'll see you guys next time. Later.